Shabbat Shalom. Last week, I received a very funny and very pointed gift. This gratitude journal with the following title. Take a breath. Okay, fine, I'm grateful. A journal to catapult me from my default position of griping and negativity to the long-resisted stance of counting my blessings, because it turns out that focusing on the positive actually might be better for my mind, body, and spirit, in no small part because unhappiness is the gap between expectations and reality. So even though this whole gratitude thing feels like a bandwagon on the woo-woo train, the fact is that deep down, I'm ready to start looking at the roses rather than the thorns. And if you absolutely force me to admit it, I will say that in all actuality, I do have so very much to be grateful for. I find this title hilarious, but also somewhat annoying because it's true. It is all too easy to let negativity become our default position. But we know inherently, intuitively, that gratitude is good for us, and science is starting to catch up to this wisdom. Psychology today reports that gratitude reduces the effects of toxic emotions and increases happiness. People who are grateful show lower rates of anxiety and depression. They are kinder to others and maintain stronger social relationships. And they treat themselves better too. One study found that people who express gratitude on a regular basis sleep better and are more likely to exercise and go for regular checkups. There may even be a connection between giving thanks and stronger cardiac health. If you search gratitude practice online, you will find countless suggestions. Journaling is a popular one, as are meditation, prayer, writing thank you notes, making gratitude collages, taking walks and noticing your surroundings, and many more. This week's parasha, Ekev, provides a very simple gratitude practice. Ve'achalta v'savata uve'rachta. Eat, be satisfied, bless. These three words constitute the core text of our Birkat Hamazon, the blessing recited after eating a meal. The Talmud teaches that one is not required to recite this blessing each and every time that you eat, but that it became a value for the rabbis to say Birkat Hamazon even when they had the tiniest morsel of food. Why? Because they never wanted to lose sight of the gifts that they had received from God. Eat, be satisfied, bless, says our parsha. But the verse doesn't stop there. The Torah commands, you shall eat, you shall be satisfied, and you shall bless Adonai, your God, for the good land given to you. For this commandment of gratitude is embedded in the narrative of the Israelites on the verge of entering the promised land, where God promises safety, abundance, and prosperity. But this promise also comes with a warning. When you are well established in the land and your wealth and possessions have increased, be careful. Do not become arrogant and think that what you have is thanks to your efforts alone. Remember that Adonai your God led you out of Egypt, protected you in the wilderness, provided for you, and gave you strength to reach this moment. In other words, as the Israelites prepare to enter the land, everything they have gained up to this point, and everything that we do, is made possible because of what God has done for us. We may work hard, we may strive and succeed, but there are so many things that contribute to our successes, so many gifts that we may not be aware of. It is this very notion that author A.J. Jacobs explores in his book, Thanks 1,000, A Gratitude Journey. Jacobs labels himself an admirer of gratitude, even though it doesn't come so naturally to him. In an attempt to battle my default mental state of generalized annoyance and impatience, he writes, I undertook a deceptively simple quest. I pledged to thank every single person who made my cup of coffee possible. Jacobs began with the barista at his local coffee shop, then the company's head of purchasing. He got to thinking about how he drinks his coffee, which led him to the inventor of the plastic to-go lid, the manufacturers of the paper cup and the cardboard sleeve, and the person who designed the logo. He tracked down the people who roast the coffee beans. He found the engineer who created the special bags that they ship in, and warehouse managers and truckers and many, many, many more, all the way to the farmers themselves, whom he traveled 6,000 miles to Colombia to thank in person. Each time A.J. Jacobs said thank you, he found more people to thank and more things to be thankful for. Psychologist Robert Emmons writes that grateful living is only possible when we realize that other people do things for us that we cannot do for ourselves. And in gratitude, we recognize that the source of goodness is outside of ourselves. Gratitude connects us to each other. It can connect us to that which is beyond our imagination. It connects us to the divine. This is the essence of our prayers. They shed light on the things we may take for granted, the aspects of daily life that often go unexamined. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who opens our eyes each morning. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who gave me the ability to distinguish between day and night. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who establishes the earth for us to walk on. But our Parsha says, be satisfied and then bless. So what happens if we are not satisfied? What do we do if it feels like the words aren't true? How can we offer a blessing if we don't mean it? Consider the text from our Pesach Haggadah, Dayenu. Every year at Seder, we sing Ilu Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu. Even if God had only brought us out of Egypt, it would be enough for us. Even if God had split the sea and not led us over the dry land, it would be enough for us. Really? How could it be enough? How could it be enough if the sea split, but our ancestors were not able to pass safely through it? Would it really have been enough for God to lead us safely out of Egypt, but not provide food and sustenance in the wilderness? Of course not. So why do we say these words? We say them, and our many other songs and blessings and prayers, in order to habituate ourselves to gratitude. We may not always feel the words deeply at a given moment, but in speaking them, we open ourselves to the possibility of finding meaning. If we unlock the door to gratitude, we give ourselves the opportunity to step through. At the beginning of his project, A.J. Jacobs found it uncomfortable to say thank you so many times, in part because people are not used to being thanked. But he writes, when I force myself to utter the awkward phrase, I am grateful, I actually start to feel a bit more grateful. We may not always be fully satisfied, but it is still important to bless, because in doing so, in practicing gratitude, we sharpen our sensitivity to that which is good in our lives. The Mishnah teaches, Ezehu ashir hasameach bechelko. Who is rich? The one who is content with their lot. According to this principle, wealth is not at all a measure of what we have, but of our ability to appreciate it. So, let us say thank you for the things that are obvious, for the things that are less obvious. Thank you to those in this room and on the live stream for being here with us tonight. Thank you to the band for lifting our prayers. Thank you to Con Edison for the lights. Thank you to the folks who laid the asphalt and the sidewalks on 68th Street so we could walk here or drive here. Thank you to everything and everyone that came together to make tonight happen. Thanks 1,000. And thanks most of all to God for making it all possible, for giving us life, for sustaining us, for enabling us to reach this moment. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen v'amen.